Hello everyone, this is Dave Lucas. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video and learn more about the simple trading strategies that I do that generate over 90% win rates, okay? So I appreciate you taking the time. I'm excited for our time together in this, and we're gonna go on a little bit of a journey and look at markets and trading in a little different way than most are used to. But I can promise you that by the end of our time together, as you watch this, it will all come together and make a lot of sense for you. Maybe even change the entire way that you look at trading and investing in the markets. We all know the story of the tortoise and the hare. And what's the moral of the story? Going too fast out of the gate is rarely sustainable, right? Slow and steady wins the race. But how many people apply that to trading? Most don't. Most traders are like the hare. They're trying to have it all right now. Let me share some stats with you. 80% of all day traders quit within their first 2 years. Among all day traders, nearly 40% day trade for only 1 month. Within 3 years, only 13% continue to day trade. After 5 years, only 7% remain. The average individual investor underperforms a market index by 1.5% per year. Active traders underperform by 6.5% annually, and day traders with strong past performance do go on to earn strong returns in the future, though only about 1% of all day traders are able to predictably profit net of fees. Profitable day traders make up a small portion of all traders, 1.6% in the average year. After seeing those stats, I can understand how it may be a little discouraging, and many of you can probably relate to some of them. I know I was just like most traders in those stats when I started out. What I'm going to share with you is a different way of looking at the markets. In fact, for many of you, a different way of looking at trading as a whole. But those of you who have been around a block for a little while will immediately see the power in the trading philosophy and strategy that I will share with you today. If you want more consistent income from your trading, you have to have a strategy for consistent, healthy returns. It's the tortoise and the hare story. Slow and steady wins the race over and over. And that's when you look at the wealthiest investors of our time, people like Warren Buffett, Carl Icahn, Ray Dalio, and others. Their approach is smart, healthy, and consistent income. They find an edge and they use it to their advantage to create asymmetric risk and reward. That's why Warren Buffett is famous for his 2 rules. Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. So part of what I want to do today is put you in the driver's seat and show you the complete package of how to set up a consistently profitable trading business, complete with my own trade setup examples. Let me start by sharing some of the things that I wish that I learned when I first started trading. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be complicated, and it certainly doesn't need to take a lot of time, because when most people start trading, they think you need all this sophisticated software, chart setups, 15 monitors, and on, and it is complicated the way that most people teach it. And as humans, we tend to make things much more complicated than they have to be. I've been guilty of this as much as anyone else, but I learned the lesson of the power of simplicity a number of years ago, and it's paid off 100 times fold. In fact, I'm not embarrassed to admit that I still don't know most of what the Greeks and combinations like a double diagonal spread or a reverse iron albatross actually mean. I've found that the more complicated I made trading and investing, the less money that I made and the more effort that it took to manage. So on the contrary, the more simple the strategies with a slight edge, the more money that I made. Let me give you an idea of what I mean. Did you know that's incredibly easy to put the odds of winning in your favor just by the types of trades you select to do, before ever even placing a trade? Did you know that there are strategies that make money for you no matter what the market does? Have you ever wondered how companies like Goldman Sachs and others just seem to quote-unquote print money? Lastly, have you ever thought there's gotta be a better, easier, less time-consuming way to make money in the market? See, your goal is not to beat the big guys, because in reality you can't. You can't be faster than the pros and the quants who actually pay millions of dollars to lay fiber optic lines to their trading floors so trades execute a quarter second faster. But what you can do is win by trading in the margins, not with them, not against them. I'm going to show you how to do this in this video. You're going to learn how you can beat the big guys because you are smaller and more nimble and you don't have to play their game. But first, a little background. Yeah, that's me about 20 years ago. I started my first business with nothing. I had to work 3 other jobs to make ends meet. I was doing kids' birthday parties on the weekends dressing up like Blue's Clues and other characters. I was serving at a high-end steakhouse. I was bouncing at a nightclub, and my typical day would go from about 5:30 a.m. to about 1 a.m. For a short time, I lived in my Mazda until I moved into my aunt's basement and eventually slept on the floor of an apartment. There's a pic of the Red Avenger, as I used to call her. My business did eventually make me some money, about $1,000 a month after expenses, and the other jobs helped me to pay the bills, but I was nowhere near where I wanted to be. I sat down one day and I thought deeply about where I was and realized I knew I needed to learn what I did not know. So then I decided to take action on what to do about it, and I went on a 5+ year journey to learn from the most successful and wealthy. During this time, I sold that first business and made essentially nothing. I went to work in the Fortune 500 space in sales and was very successful, but I spent every extra moment and weekends learning and traveling to meet people like Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy, and networking to meet with millionaires and a few billionaires, all with one goal: to learn the best secrets and processes for success in all areas of life. As I learned things and put them into practice, I started to have even better results. I started investing in real estate and other businesses, some of which I still own today, and teaching people what I learned. After enough prodding, I wrote a book about what I had learned that became a best-selling book on Amazon called The 10-Year Career. And because of putting what I learned into practice, I've been fortunate to do business with, speak to, and work with many of the world's largest companies and organizations, and travel the world to dozens of countries and places, as well as have companies that have been on the Inc. 5000 list of fastest growing companies and Entrepreneur 360 6 times. But the greatest journey of my life happened about 14 years ago when my wife and I decided to adopt, and eventually several years later travel to bring our daughter, Hannah, home from China. If anyone here has ever adopted before, you know how much time the process takes, and especially international adoption, you know how much it costs to do everything needed to bring your child home. At the time, I was highly invested and leveraged. I had put a huge bulk of my wealth into what became my largest company, and excess cash at the time was very hard to come by. I was determined, though, not to have to quote-unquote finance my daughter, so I got back into trading the markets. My goal was to create a strategy that I could do alongside everything else I had going on that could help fund our adoption. The 12-minute trading strategies were the result. Nowadays, I've been fortunate to sell some of my largest businesses built over the years and now focus my time and attention on helping people just like you create financial independence through trading the markets, as well as enjoy spending more time with my family and pursuing one of my passions, Ironman racing, which I'm now ranked top 5% in the world. In fact, it's amazing how racing, the world's most prominent endurance race, has helped me to become a better trader and cement some of the principles that I'm going to share with you today. So let's jump in. I'm going to cover everything in 3 parts. First, I'm going to share the secrets of the rich that I learned over my 5-year journey and how they relate to trading. And I'm going to share the 12-minute trading philosophy with you and how in just 3 simple steps, you can change your whole world in trading. Second, I'm going to discuss the power of simplicity by showing you the exact charting setup that I use every day to create cash flow across multiple different strategies in the market. And then lastly, I'm going to walk you through one of my most popular strategies that I teach, the double-double strategy, showing you how I put the power of simplicity to work. Part 1, Secrets of the Rich. In all of my work with top investors, business leaders, and entrepreneurs, I learned a few very important things. The successful and wealthy think differently. The successful and wealthy do things differently. And the successful and wealthy understand that success is a process, and there are certain secrets that get you to higher levels exponentially faster. And that brings me to secret number 1. Your mind is your most powerful asset you have to become wealthy. Your mind's your most powerful asset that you have to become wealthy. Your ability to think and find ways of doing things that either build upon what has been taught by those that have come before you, or to take a concept and create a new way of doing it that gives you an edge, is something that we as humans have a unique ability to do. I found that many of the rich and most successful don't always invent entirely new ways of doing things. Instead, they look for ways, small or large, to improve upon things and gain a slight advantage. The best investors do just this. They know even the slightest advantage can give a massive return on risk and a massive edge to them. This was an important lesson for me to learn and was critical in creating the 12-minute trading strategies, because just by asking how can I create an investment strategy that consistently pays me a great return and doesn't require me to spend hardly any time doing it, and that I can manage from my iPhone, spurred me to start looking at how I can take common trading strategies and make them much more effective for me. Secret number 2. The rich focus on results. The rich don't work for time, they work for results. This is an important lesson for investors, as it doesn't matter how much time you spend in front of a computer screen looking at charts. What matters is results. I have a confession to make. For all that I do and that I've done, I'm actually pretty lazy. I want to put in the least amount of time possible to get the most results possible. In trading, that means making the most amount of money possible with the least amount of time and least amount of effort. For some people, that's a really hard concept to grasp. I'm originally from the Midwest, where we've got that Midwest mentality that you work hard and long hours to get success. But in today's age, that's just not the case. People become wildly successful just by having a large following on Instagram, YouTube, or TikTok. I know people that work really, really hard but never get ahead. You not only have to work hard, but you have to work smart, and you have to make sure that what you are working on is the right vehicle to drive the results that you want. The actual time you put in doesn't matter to anyone. This was so important in creating the 12-minute strategies, as you'll see that some types of trades give you so much more of an advantage that just by choosing them and choosing to trade them, you not only can stack the odds in your favor, but you can also cut the time you spend in front of a trading screen down by 80% or more. Secret number 3, the rich look for leverage. This is one of my favorites, and it goes hand in hand with the last secret of focusing on results. Leverage simply means to do more with less. In order to grow your results larger and larger, you must be able to leverage your time and resources to do exponentially more. That means getting the results of 10 hours of work in 5 minutes. And yes, you can do that every day. My results and the results of people that I have taught all over the world have proven this. Leverage can come in so many different forms. Businesses build systems, intellectual property, trademarks, patents, rental property, books. This presentation, you can watch this recording over and over again. That's a form of leverage. And then, of course, the stock market. Let me give you an example as it relates to trading and investing. There is not much leverage in buying and holding a stock or an option. If you think about it, if you buy a stock or an option, how do you make money? It's not a trick question. For a stock, it has to go up. For an option, it has to go in the direction that you bought it for. For example, if you buy a call, the underlying has to go up. If you buy a put, the underlying has to go down. But if you think about it, a stock or an underlying can go 3 ways: up, down, or stay the same. So that means that just straight up buying a stock or an option gives you a 33% chance of making money. To put that in perspective, the odds of winning a hand in blackjack in a casino are 46.36%. You are literally better off taking your money to the casino versus just buying a stock or an option. All right, secret number 4, the rich are in control. The most successful and wealthy take control of their lives and their wealth. They do not let it be dictated by outside sources or events. They take full responsibility for their actions and their results. And to me, when I finally understood this, it meant that when it came to building a business or trading strategy or anything, you cannot leave any stone unturned. You must set things up to account for everything and have control over the whole process if you want to be consistently successful. That's why it wasn't enough just to learn that buying a stock or an option is a bad idea. It was creating a system around all aspects of the trades that I was going to do that would make the difference. And that brings me to the 12-minute trading system. In this section, I'm going to show you how to set yourself up for better success in your trading and your investing. I'm also going to show you a unique way of looking at investing in the stock market that you're not going to hear anywhere else. All right, let's jump in. Once you decide to become successful and wealthy, one of the best forms of leverage is to study those that have made it and use what you learn from them to help you accomplish the same results. Looking at the Forbes 400 wealthiest list, immediately something sticks out. The vast majority made their fortune in one of three ways or a combination of them: owning or building businesses, investments, and then real estate. Successful market investors understand the other two areas. They understand how to build a business, and they understand the principles and leverage of real estate that the wealthiest use to gain their wealth, and then they use those principles from those areas to succeed in the markets. They leverage the secrets from these areas to help them win at a higher level. You see, great businesses are a collection of systems and infrastructure that work symbiotically with each other and can continue to grow and produce on their own without the founder or the owner being there. A trading business should be the same. Otherwise, you're just creating a trading job for yourself. Would you like to have a trading business that works for you without you having to be there every second looking at the market or worrying about your trades? I know you would. With that in mind, the 12-minute trading system can be summed up in 3 simple steps. Step number 1, put the 67% odds in your favor before you ever make a trade. Real traders know how to find and maximize an edge, and that's what we do here at 12-minute trading. When I realized that you have a 33% chance making money in buying, the first thing I thought was, who has the 67% chance? Because that's who I want to be. And that's the sellers. I only sell options because it turns me into the house and not the gambler. I'm basically selling to the suckers in the casino, and the house over time always wins. When you sell something, you also get paid. So I'm always getting paid up front to take on any risk. Lastly, selling gives me control. As you'll see in just a few minutes when I take you through my double-double strategy, I don't have to be right in calling a stock or a market direction. I play in the margins where the others don't. Step number 2, increase those odds by having a solid, tested set of rules for entry, defense, and exit. Over the years, I've developed specific criteria for entering trades that helps me to maximize my trades, giving me an over 90% win rate. And I track and share all my trades going all the way back to 2013. But with an over 90% win rate, that means less than 1 in 10 will have an issue or get in danger of being attacked. While it happens rarely, I've got a whole set of defensive rules that I employ that helps to ensure I stay profitable. Lastly, I have clear profit targets for exit that I stay disciplined with. Number 3, focus on consistent cash flow through base hits and not home runs. I focus on consistent repeatable returns, or what I like to call base hits, that I achieve over and over again. These base hits add up to home run-like returns over time and make for a nice, consistent cash flow business without the typical roller coaster ride of winning on one trade, giving it back the next, and so on, like many traders experience. I have proven that these strategies can and do win over 90% of the time, even in bear markets. In fact, as many of my students know, in 2022 during the bear market, I only had 1 losing trade in my double-double strategy and no losing trades in a couple of my other strategies. And that's the power of selling options, because you don't have to be right. You don't have to call a direction or hope for it to work out. You can make money no matter what the market does and no matter which way a stock or an index goes. And I do it in less than 12 minutes a day. And for some strategies, I trade just once a week to achieve my goals. All right, so let's sum it up. By choosing to sell options, I put the odds in my favor at 67%. I increase those odds to over 90% through how I enter and manage trades, including using my proprietary indicators and time-tested rules. I effectively become the house selling to the suckers in the casino, creating consistent cash flow from the markets. And I do it in less than 10 to 12 minutes a day. And guess what? You can do it too. I had to work a good old Rob Schneider cameo in here somewhere. Hopefully you're starting to see the power of looking at trading this way, and that brings me to part 2. Part 2, the power of simplicity. In trading the markets for over 20 years and figuring out a lot of what I've already shared, I've realized several things. Traders make things much more complicated than they need to be. Traders make things so much more complicated. I think this is a trait of human nature in general, but I found that the more simple you can make a trading strategy, the more successful you will be. I think Einstein said it best saying, make things simple but not simpler. When I show you the double-double strategy in just a few minutes, I think you're going to understand this a lot better. Anyone ever have a chart that looks like this? I used to do this. This was me in my earlier days of trading. I thought that the more indicators I had on a chart, the smarter that I was and better edge that I had over others. But what I found is I was actually in stage 4 of the famous trader progression by Bo Yoder, which is called the squiggle trader stage. Here's a description of it. In this stage, you begin an obsessive study of every method and every indicator that's new to you. You buy every book, attend every course, sign up for every newsletter and advisory service, register for every trading website and every chat room. You buy more elaborate software, you buy off-the-shelf systems, you spend whatever it takes to buy success. Unfortunately, you stack so much onto the charts that you become paralyzed. With so many inputs, you can't make a decision, particularly since they all rarely agree. So you focus on those which agree with the direction of the trade that you've taken, and you typically lose. Can anyone relate to that? Everyone's looking for the holy grail charting setup or methodology, and I'm here to tell you it doesn't exist. The closest thing to the holy grail was between your ears, your control over your mind and emotions. But that's another talk and presentation for a different day. The more indicators that we put on a chart, the harder it is to trade successfully. What I want you to take away, and you're probably gathering by now, is that the more that you pile on a chart, the harder it is to succeed as a trader. I learned this lesson after several years when I simplified to just 2 indicators and focusing my efforts on price action. And for me, this has helped me equate to over 90% win rates in my trading for over a decade. And yes, through the 2022 bear market. The last realization that I want to share is that the more often that you trade, especially when it is moving existing trades around due to market movement and based on emotion, the more that you lose. When you abandon your rules and your setups because of emotion and feeling, you make more mistakes and you enter more trades to fix those mistakes, causing you to exacerbate the problem and lose more. In fact, the biggest winner is the broker making a ton of money off of your trading commission fees. And with that said, I'm going to show you my chart setup and explain how I use it for all my strategies. That's right, I use the same chart setup for 5 different strategies, short through long term. Here's the simplified charting setup that I've used for over the last decade across 5 strategies. There are 2 main indicators that I use, and that is the standard Bollinger Bands. So this is what these are, the standard Bollinger Bands, 0, 20, -2, 2.0 with a simple moving average between them. And then below is my proprietary energy indicator. Now this is a custom coded indicator, and students that sign up for my services get this. They get access to the code for this for Thinkorswim and a couple other systems. But what this is it's a variation of an oscillator that's been out there for a long time called the choppiness index, okay? And it basically shows the energy in a chart to trend or not. It doesn't tell me which way things are going to go. I use the Bollinger Bands for that. But it does tell me if there's enough energy for a chart to trend. When we are up around the 60 line, as we see up in here, anywhere up in this 60 range, we are fully charged and ready to trend. Anywhere that we're down around this 35 range or below, then we're getting to exhaustion. So the current trend that's happening is either going to slow down or come to an end. And you can see how this works. So for example, this period back here, which was the end of December 2022, we had this kind of sideways action from an exhaustion. We trended down, see how the energy broke and trended down, and then it got exhausted and charged itself up, going sideways for a number of days, actually several weeks, and then that got it fully charged, and then this is the trend that started off that 2023, right? That big trend that happened through January into February. And then it got exhausted and it's pulled back to the point where here we are now about mid-February 2023 as I'm recording this. And you can see we're fully charged again and we're ready to go. Now, the interesting thing is that the Bollinger Bands act like the ropes of a boxing ring. And so you typically see when the price gets to them or outside of them, it gets thrown back in, right? Or if it gets outside of the top, it gets thrown back in. And so you can see how they kind of throw the price back in. And this is what I mean by understanding price action and understanding how price works. And so the interesting thing right now, as we look at this right currently, you can see we're in the middle just about. We're right in the middle of the Bollinger Bands. And this is one of the most kind of dangerous times with a fully charged energy because you don't know which way it's going to go. It could break out of here again. It could break down from here. And so this is one of those times where I tell my students a lot of times is just, hey, let's sit back and let's just wait and watch which way this decides to go, because then we can take advantage of it, right? And so that's kind of where we're at. So we're the week that's upcoming, that I'm going into, even though this will be a static recording that, people will see for years to come. But the week that I'm going into is a little lighter week for me. I'll take a little bit of time off. Usually these trends, once they're charged up, they don't take long. You can see we had a couple days in here before this started its release, right? So usually it's a few days and then this will start the release. So by the end of the week, I'll have a really good idea which way this is going to go. But when I'm on a lower Bollinger Band and exhausted, I know I'm probably done trending in this direction. That gives me the opportunity to sell on the put side. When I'm on the upper Bollinger Band and I'm into an exhaustion like this, I know that gives me a great opportunity to sell on the call side. And vice versa, all the way. And that's what the color coding in this indicator does. It tells me, hey, you're near the upper Bollinger Band at this point and you're fully charged. Or you're near the lower Bollinger Band and you're fully charged. That's what yellow is. Yellow is lower Bollinger Band and the magenta is the upper Bollinger Band. But these are the only two indicators that I need alongside price action to be able to put my entries in place and set up my trades and everything. So for example, as I'll show you in the double strategy in a little bit, I look for setting levels outside of these Bollinger Bands as well as lows and highs and that sort of thing. So I look at 3 different sets of charts. I look at the daily chart, I look at the weekly chart on a 3-year, I look at the monthly chart on a 5-year to kind of give me an idea inside out where things are going. So right now I know I've got probably a 7 to 10 day trend that's going to happen with the daily chart, which is what we're on right now. But then I can go look at the weekly chart and see what it's telling me. Hey, look, the weekly chart is still fully charged up and we're near the upper Bollinger Band. So we could be walking sideways right now to continue this trend higher, right? That's possible. We've seen that before. In fact, you saw this pullback right here. Pretty much it didn't come down the lower Bollinger Band. It came down, right? And then went back the other way, right? So a lot of times the weekly chart will do that. And so that's the thing that I'm watching here is, does this weekly chart break down now or does it continue this trend higher? And then the monthly chart is the biggest chart. And I always say you can look at these 3 time frames like the kids, the parents, and the grandparents, right? The kids are going to go where the parents want to go, and the parents are ultimately going to go where the grandparents tell them to go. So the monthly chart is the ultimate arbiter, but these things happen, like I said, from the inside out. So for example, where a daily chart swing, an energy swing will go maybe 7 to 10 trading days, a weekly will go 6, 8, 10 weeks. A monthly can go 8, 10, 12 months, right? So the monthly chart where it's sitting here charged has not really even started to trend yet. So this is a good start if it's going to go higher. What you want to see is this to have another month higher and then to see this start to go down. Once this chart starts to get into the low 50s and high 40s and you've got a trend happening, that helps to confirm the direction and everything, and you can play that on the longer term. So that's a little bit about how I use these 2 indicators, how I read price action, and how I use it to help set my entry levels and all of that stuff. And so when I'm setting trades, as you'll see in a minute, I like to set trades outside these Bollinger Bands if I can, right? If I can be outside the lower Bollinger Band and outside the upper Bollinger Band on the monthly chart, that's gold for me, right? Weekly chart, is really good too. So that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm doing. Again, I like to play in the margins where the others are not and take advantage and not have to really It's nice to understand direction, but I don't have to be right in calling it, right? And that's what these indicators help me to do, and the levels that price shows me helps me where to put my trades, and that's what helps to create the high win ratios that I get with these base hit type trades. So hopefully this gives you a pretty good idea of how things work and how you can simplify using just a couple of indicators and price action to do everything you need to do in the markets. So the power of simplicity: energy, Bollinger Bands, price action. And with that said, that brings me to part 3, the 12-minute trading double-double strategy. There are 5 different strategies that I employ as part of the 12-minute trading weekly advisory service that cover everything from weekly cash flow to passive hands-off income over 6 to 8 months. I'm going to show you one of the most popular strategies, my double-double strategy for monthly income. The strategy is an iron condor strategy designed to maximize cash flow. It's also designed to stack the odds in your favor for income over a 4-week or less period. I target a 4% return on risk or better. I trade these every week. Trades are set up on Sunday evenings in 10 to 12 minutes as good to cancel orders. Trades typically fill Monday in the AM, and the average actual time that I'm in a trade is 2.1 weeks. Why is it called double-double? The strategy is designed to double the trading capital allocated to it in the course of a year. Simple math: if I'm making 4% minimum return on risk every 2 weeks, that compounds to a little over 100% return per year. Now, obviously, that's the goal. As I mentioned, with a 90+% historical win rate on my trades, that means not every trade's going to work out. But how many of you would be happy with a 70% return or 50%? Heck, maybe even 30% on your money in the course of a year, spending 10 to 12 minutes per week to set up your trades. All right, so let's talk about how these trades work using an example of a trade actually that I just recently closed out. I set up these trades on the indexes or the index ETFs using the SPX, NDX, RUT, SPY, IWM, QQQ, and DIA. This is a chart of the SPX. Working with my mastermind group and other professional traders, we've done an exhaustive analysis on the max movement in a given time for each index. So I know what the max move up or down over the last 5 years is for all the indexes, timeframes from 1 day to 1 week, month, and so on. Remember me earlier talking about increasing my odds not just by selling options, but my rules for entering trades? This is part of those odds. I look for the chart that allows me to place my trade outside those max move levels and still pay me my 4% return on risk. Also, do you remember from the beginning me speaking about the simpler we make our trading, the easier it is to win? As I've said, I only use those 2 indicators, the Bollinger Bands and my proprietary energy indicator. Now, I talked a little bit about this a few minutes ago, but I really do like the Bollinger Bands because they act like the ropes of a boxing ring, and typically when the price gets to them, the bands throw the price back in. And so I really like to use them in my trading. For the double-double strategy, I like to set my trades not just outside those max move levels that I spoke about, but I also make sure that they are outside the Bollinger Bands on the weekly chart. And as you can see on the SPX weekly chart on the screen, the upper Bollinger Band in this example when this trade was done is at 41.50 and the lower is at 35.73. The trade that I use for this strategy is an iron condor trade. For those of you that do not know what an iron condor trade is, it's simply selling a call spread and a put spread on a stock or an index that's the same size with and in the same cycle. For example, for this trade, I sold the February 28th cycle, which is about 4 weeks out in trading days. The example that I use is a 10 wide iron condor on the SPX, meaning that my risk is $1,000 per contract. My goal is to make a minimum of 4% or $40 per contract. I do different sizes each week, ranging from $10 to $50 wide. Since I know that I need to be at or outside the weekly chart Bollinger Bands and also at or outside the max move parameters, which you can see on the screen are 43.36 on the call spread side and 36.18 on the put spread side, my job is to see if there's a setup that allows me to do that and get my 4% in net credit. When I looked at the options chains, I can see that I can sell the 28th February 2023 35.65 by 35.75 put spread for 35 cents, which is right at that 3573 lower Bollinger Band on the weekly chart and well below the 3618 level based on the max move data. You will notice that although my target on the trade is to make 4% or $40 per contract, I'm selling this side of the condor to pay me 35 cents or $35 per contract. But remember, I have the other side to still sell and get paid on. That's one of the great benefits of the Iron Condor, which I'll expand more on in a second. But first, let's discuss the call side. When I look at the options chains, I can see that I can sell the 28th of February 2023 4350 by 4360 call spread for about 35 cents, which is well above the 4150 upper Bollinger Band on the weekly chart and well above the 4336 level based on the max move data. As with the put side, although my target on the trade is to make 4%, I'm selling this side of the condor to pay me 35 cents or $35 per contract as well. So my total credit from selling the Iron Condor is going to be 70 cents per contract or $70 per contract. 7% return on risk of the $1,000 per contract that I'm risking. This is the beauty of the Iron Condor. You can profit on the same risk on both sides. A lot of people will sell put spreads or call spreads, and these can do well, but they're missing the leverage of the Condor, allowing them to profit from the same amount of risk on both the top and bottom side and put their trades further out of the money, ensuring a higher win rate. So why doesn't your broker set aside $1,000 in risk for both sides of the trade? Well, if you think about it, if you're going to lose on the trade, and losing is when the price of the underlying goes through your sold strike in your spread, you can only lose on one side at expiration. The price cannot be in two places at once. It can either be attacking your put spread or it can be attacking your call spread. This is another form of leverage that allows me to make more on a trade. And if you remember, one of the secrets of the rich was that they looked for leverage to help them succeed. I like to get $70 to $80 per each 10 wide condor that I do with the double-double strategy. Sometimes I get over $80 as well because it allows me to exit earlier by using some of that credit to buy back the trade early and then turn around and put that money back to work with another new double-double trade. And that's why the average time I'm in one of these trades is 2.1 weeks instead of the 4 weeks that I've sold out to. Every day that the price is not at the strikes of the condor, because they're an option trade and they have time limits to which they expire, they're losing value. And after a couple weeks or so, I can usually buy them back for 10 to 20 bucks, exiting the trade early and ensuring my 4% or more profit goal. And once I'm in the trade, there's really not much for me to do but let time work until it exits per my exit orders. Of course, I have other trade management rules and defensive rules that I use to ensure success on the trade if I were to be attacked. I don't have time to go into all of that in this video, but hopefully you can see the power of this simple strategy to create monthly income in an easy and consistent way with minimal effort each week. So let me sum it up for you. Per my analysis of the weekly chart Bollinger Bands and max move data, I choose the best index ETF to sell the double-double Iron Condor on each week. I sell in 4-week cycles using the weekly and regular monthly option cycles. I set up my trades as good to cancel orders on Sunday evenings. I target a 4% return on risk for the trade and typically sell my positions to give me a buffer for credit. I use that buffer to buy back the trade for 10 to 20 bucks, usually in about 2 weeks. Once in the trade, there's really not much for me to do but let time work until I exit. So what are your risks? Well, one of the sides of your condor could get attacked, causing you to lose that side of the trade. It's not impossible, but the double-double is set up to start with an over 95% chance or better of winning. And as I said before, I have defensive rules that I employ well before being attacked that ensure I can either exit for a profit or win the trade. Can you see the power of this type of strategy? Can you see that it can give you leverage in the market and allow you to create steady monthly income instead of just buying a stock or an option and hoping that it goes the way that you want it to? Can you see how understanding this system can help give you control over your income and provide great returns? And lastly, and most importantly, can you see the power of using a strategy like the double-double to create an investing system that can work for you consistently with just a small amount of effort each week? You see, you can have a professional trader-like business without spending professional trader-like time. Using the power of leverage and focusing on utilizing trading strategies that only take me 12 minutes or less per day to manage, I figured it out and now trade the system and strategies such as the double-double I've shared with you, allowing me to enjoy life, create great income, and do it from wherever I want in just a few minutes a day. A lot of people ask me, how does it break down to 12 minutes? Well, 6 minutes to analyze and check the charts for the key levels and Bollinger Bands, 2 minutes to check the options chains to make sure they are giving the required return, 1 minute to set up the trade, 2 minutes to check in and see when it's filled, 1 minute to add my good to cancel order, and truthfully, most days it takes less than that. And it can all be done from a smartphone or iPhone, wherever you are. So let me summarize everything that we've gone through in this presentation. In part 1, we learned the successful and wealthy think differently. The successful and wealthy do things differently. The 4 secrets that set the successful and wealthy apart. And lastly, we discussed the power of bringing these together to create a winning system. We also discussed how the super rich make their money, how top investors learn from the business and real estate worlds and use that information to help them better succeed. And we learned the 3 steps to create trades that win over 90% of the time. And lastly, you learn that by setting up a trading business built on selling options and stacking the odds in your favor, you do not have to be right and you can still profit. In part 2, we talked about the power of simplicity. We talked about how traders make things much more complicated than they need to be. We talked about why more indicators we put on the chart, the harder it is to trade successfully. And the more often that we trade, especially based on emotion, the more we lose. We also discussed how using chart energy, Bollinger Bands, and price action have helped me to achieve over 90% win rates annually. In part 3, we reviewed the double-double monthly cash flow strategy. We discussed the leverage of iron condors and the benefits of them when used for a strategy like the double-double. We discussed how this can be done in 12 minutes or less each week. And lastly, we discussed how you can easily set up and manage the strategy from anywhere using your smartphone, creating consistent income in the markets. By now you are probably wondering about this, but what if I told you that you could put a secret of the rich to work for you and have even more leverage, and that everything that I just went through could be packaged up and done for you and delivered on a weekly basis to your inbox, complete with video analysis, trade setups, and access to me and my team? Would you be interested? Well, that's what we provide our students in the 12-Minute Trading Advisory Weekly Service. You literally get to look over my shoulder and trade alongside me and my team each and every week. The service includes 5 different option selling strategies, from weekly options for income, monthly options like the double-double, up to 6 to 8 month cycles designed to be set it and forget it as much as possible. The goal is consistent passive income with little to no effort, base hit after base hit. And if you're new to this style of trading, we provide all the training you need, as well as live sessions with me and other experts throughout each month to help you learn and become successful. I have worked extremely hard to make the 12-Minute Trading Weekly Advisory Service the most comprehensive and best value service in the marketplace. We deliver everything. A service that includes 5 different short and long-term strategies tested and proven to work in any type of market. Weekly advisory newsletter complete with market overview and my personal trade setups that I'm doing each and every week. Weekly video analysis of the market and trade setups so you can look over my shoulder to see exactly what I'm doing and why I'm doing it to accelerate your success in learning these strategies. I do a midweek update with trading game plan, trade alerts for any move that I make on any of my trades prior to me taking action. This is a huge one. It's always been a pet peeve of mine for different service providers and people out there, quote unquote gurus, that send out trade alerts, but they're after they've already done them. So I do mine before I make my moves, and I do them by text and email as well, so you can get instant access to what I'm doing. Comprehensive student portal complete with video training on every aspect of each strategy and other resources to help you improve your trading skills and learning. And then live sessions each month where I teach on different strategies and where you can attend and ask questions, get guidance, as well as special members only events. And we do it all for just $97 a month. Literally, one contract of one of the trades that I do pays for this every single month. And as a special gift for you taking the time to watch this video and spend time with me, I'm going to give you a free 2-week full access trial of the service. After that, if you want to continue, it's just $97 per month, which you can cancel at any time. So you literally have nothing to lose. Like I said, one contract of just one of the trading strategies that I do every week pays for it. All you have to do is go to www.12minutetrading.com/free trial or click the link that's below this video. Again, that's 12minutetrading.com/free trial. And if you have any questions about anything that talked about in this video or any other things surrounding what we do at 12 Minute Trading, please feel free to send us a note through our website or just email us at support@12minutetrading.com. Again, that's support@12minutetrading.com. I hope that you got something from this video. I hope that it helped you to see markets in a new way and see trading in a new way. I hope that it helped you to understand that it doesn't have to be complicated and it doesn't have to be as hard as people make it out to be. And I hope that it will help you become a better trader. So thank you for tuning in and best in your trading success.